So today's video is going to be about what it's like to solo travel to Cartagena, Colombia. What's up, y'all? It's Kim with Work Hard, Travel Well, and thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. While you're here, be sure to subscribe. I post weekly videos around travel, lifestyle, and tech. So this was a very last minute trip. This is pre-pandemic, and I was wanting to go somewhere for my birthday. Just as a disclaimer, at the time of this video, Colombia is open for tourism, but please travel responsibly. This video references footage that was before the pandemic. So, what brought about me wanting to go to Colombia? I've always wanted to go to South America, but I was short on time, so my first choice was Argentina, and that wasn't going to happen with the flight time. So I was looking for somewhere close to go. I went on TripAdvisor, I surfed Instagram, and finally I came across Cartagena and also Guatapé and Medellin, which is destinations that I went to in Colombia after Cartagena. I do already have a video about Guatapé. Is a really quaint city outside of Medellin. I'll post another video about traveling to Medellin solo. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, why Colombia? Because Colombia has a reputation of not being safe. But I will say that I felt safe to travel to Colombia. Is it safe to travel to Colombia? That is relative to basically you as a traveler. I can't speak for everyone else. I know people have had different experiences, but I felt safe while traveling to Colombia. It was a last minute trip idea. After I had searched it out, I went on Google Flights trying to find a flight to make this all work. So what I ended up doing is booking a flight through JetBlue, which I can't say that I would fly JetBlue again. I booked a flight through JetBlue, and it basically was Atlanta to Rafael Nunez Airport, which is airport code CTG for Cartagena. And then from Cartagena to Medellin, I booked a local carrier flight. And then I booked the return on JetBlue from Medellin back to Atlanta. Of course, if you're flying on JetBlue, most likely you're going to stop in Fort Lauderdale, which that is not really a great airport to come back through for customs. It took hours to get through. And just a little bit about JetBlue, they rescheduled my flight from Fort Lauderdale to Atlanta. So I basically didn't get back to Atlanta till after midnight, hours after I was supposed to arrive. At the time, it made sense to fly on JetBlue because out of Atlanta, Delta stops in Bogota. And I had heard through my research, Bogota is actually the city that is not, I've read that it is not the safest out of the Colombian cities I was interested in visiting. And also from people I've heard, it's not very friendly there and there's not much to do there. So I didn't want to stop in Bogota. It would have been a long layover, so I decided not to do that. So anyway, took the flight to Colombia, to Cartagena. And I was so excited because JetBlue advertised free Wi-Fi on all their flights. So I'm like, great, I can get some work done. I booked a afternoon flight so I could get work done on the flight. And wouldn't you know, when I got out of Fort Lauderdale, the Wi-Fi cut off, and I asked the flight attendant, and they said, oh, it only works on certain routes, basically U.S. routes and maybe maybe Mexico, I'm not sure, but it didn't work on my route. So everyone on the airplane is like, what? And you don't have access to any internet, not just free Wi-Fi. You don't have access to any internet.
Oh, the ghetto. The ghetto. The ghetto.
So the flight time from Fort Lauderdale to Cartagena was roughly 2 hours, and then you had like a short layover in Fort Lauderdale and under 2 hours from Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale. So usually the flight costs from Atlanta and most major cities in the U.S. can be anywhere from $300 to $400 on JetBlue to go to Colombia, but that just depends on the time of year, how far out in advance you book. I will say that because this was something I wanted to do for my birthday, I booked it at the last minute. I did not pay in that range. So if you can, book in advance. But now times have changed. You might be able to find even a better deal than that at the last minute. So once I got to the airport, I basically already had like $60 and I exchanged them for Colombian pesos. Right now, at the time of this video, $1 equals about 3,400 Colombian pesos. With the exception of the tours, things were pretty much inexpensive there. You could get a meal anywhere from 7,000 to like 20,000 Colombian pesos, and that's like at an inexpensive restaurant. Basically, I exchanged a little bit of money out because I decided to use my card for most of the trips. I use cards that do not charge for international transactions. And also, I wanted to wait till I got into the city to use an ATM, perhaps at the hotel or nearby, because airport ATMs typically tend to be very hefty in fees. But I just wanted to wait and see how much things would cost before I took out a lot of money. And I always take out money when I get to the destination. I might have a little bit on me as far as US dollars, but I always wait to get to the destination. My bank does not charge for international withdrawals, and I don't have any charges for using other ATMs. I only have the charge for the bank that I'm using the ATM in that country. So it makes sense for me to just wait till I get to the destination. This trip total was about 5 days, 4.5 days roughly, and that includes Cartagena, Medellin, and Guatapé. First thing you need to decide when you're looking at accommodations in Cartagena is if you want to stay like along the beach area or in the old walled city. The old walled city is expensive and it's very touristy. You can expect a lot of casas or houses that are like big houses that are basically like quaint B&Bs, or you can find Airbnbs. You just need to be kind of cautious when you're booking Airbnbs in Cartagena. I would have preferred to do a hotel with using my Hilton or Marriott points, but none of those were in at the time. None of those were in the old walled city. Travelers to Cartagena want to know, should it, old walled city versus Boca Grande. Boca Grande is the beach area. So all of these locations are in close proximity to each other. I decided to do old walled city because I was not there for a long time and I wanted to see as much as possible, get the full experience. The Hilton hotels were in Boca Grande, and people describe Boca Grande as looking like waking up in Miami and stuff like that. So I just wanted something different, and the old wall city was definitely different. I stayed at the Hotel Casa La Fe, and what I liked about that hotel is I was able to correspond with them prior to my trip, and they helped me book my ride there and ride to the hotel, and they helped me with booking basically my rides around the city because I was kind of concerned about trying to get my own taxi. Don't forget to check out my guide to Cartagena, Colombia. There is a link in the description of this video. I tell you about like best things to do in a short amount of time. Also like hotel recommendations, how much to expect things to cost. I talk about all that, and you can pick out my itinerary in the description of this video. Get to the hotel, check in, and from there I have action-packed filled days. I went to like different happy hours. I went to different restaurants just to try all of it. The Colombian food is amazing. I even tried a food truck basically outside of my hotel, and the food was amazing. They put my condiments, which was some of the spicy sauce that they had, in a basically a grocery bag, tied it together and squeezed it so that, and poked a hole so basically you could squeeze out the sauce. Usually would cringe at something like that, but I was like, you know what? I have activated charcoal if something happens. I purchased insurance also, so I said my blessings and prayers over the food, and it was amazing. So let's talk about some tips right quick that I have for solo travel to Cartagena, Colombia. Reserve your transportation at least from the airport ahead of time with either your Airbnb host or your hotel about transportation options. Do not draw too much attention to yourself. Don't be too flashy. In the old walled city, you're going to attract a lot of people just by, um, you know, it's noticeable that you're not from the location, especially either by what you're wearing, your accent, things like that. And people would come up to me like asking me to buy stuff. They kept calling me Nicki Minaj, which, I mean, she's pretty, I'm pretty, but there's no similarities, you know. Look into group tours. You could get on a tour and not feel so alone. So I did a group tour to Palenque. I did a group tour to do like a party bus. I hopped on a group tour with people that ended up being from Atlanta, even went to the same university and rival high schools as me. Group tour to on a Shiva party bus, which is an interesting experience. Some people do not like it. It was cool to me. Only thing was that it was a Spanish only bus or Spanish only speaking bus. So everyone on there was basically locals or Spanish speaking people. The music was all in Spanish, and that was cool. I had fun. At the end of the party bus, we actually went to a club there, and we went to Club Mystique after, which was filled with like fun. Everything was so cheap. Like I did feel safe walking around the old wall city after club hours. We weren't there that late. Another tip for solo travel too is to be aware of your surroundings. Don't give out too much information. And I was at a food cart and I mentioned, I was kind of inquiring to them, the people that were cooking, if they had chicken. And someone at the food truck asked me, hey, do you like chicken? And I had actually left the cart and he followed me. Hey, I actually know a good place for chicken if you want to go. And I'm like, no. So I'm not saying just to throw caution to the wind, but I really did feel safe in Cartagena and all of Colombia that I visited as a solo traveler. People of Colombia were very friendly, and I really love that city. I really love that country. Like, I can't wait to get back there. Leave a comment in this video and let me know if you have any questions. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell for notifications because I'm going to drop a video about Medellin and Guatapé. You don't want to miss it.